most of the boats around us here in Bristol City Docks are lived on in a permanent sort of residential way, and they'll have access to running water, electricity, and for some of them, even sewage lines, which is very comfortable utilities-wise. As such, because of this, Bristol has quite a long waiting list now for a permanent residential mooring. About 4 years. Definitely worth pointing out this beautiful sailing vessel here on the right hand side called Peggy. Peggy is an original Bristol Channel pilot cutter. These boats were very famous for being used by pilots of the Avon. That is, these very skilled boat operators who would bring boats from the coast into Bristol. You couldn't just bring your merchant ship into Bristol on your own, and a specifically qualified person would have to do it. That is actually still the case today as well. The Avon pilots are still a thing. But back in the day, those were the favoured sailing vessels of the Bristol Channel pilots because they were very quick and they were able to be operated by 1 or 2 people. And that was great for being able to get out to an incoming ship and then have your crew member be able to take that sailing vessel, probably their son or daughter, back to its base, awaiting the next ship coming in. An original Bristol Channel pilot cutter like that, whose history is so important to this region, will probably go for multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds.
That's a bit hot, Dom. Sorry.
First boat trip.
He started on these boats. Very lovely idea. Started number 7 in 1999 after working at Bristol Harbour for a while. Before that, he ran a house clearance business in West. So he's quite a scruffy looking girl.
Yeah, no.
Madness. Some amazing property built here in the last 30 years. Lots of it accommodation, which is of course very popular and expensive. If you go back sort of 40, 50 years, you'd lived this close to the water in Bristol, you probably would have been considered very much down on your luck. So it's been a big transformation now in people's perception on living space here in Bristol City Docks. These grey stone ones sitting up on the right have done a great job of utilising some of those pre-existing factory structures from the Victorian era. These were called the purifying houses. They belong to part of a gasworks that used to exist on Cannons Marsh. And in these purifying houses, they used to render down whale and seal blubber, or fat, in large vats with a horrible concoction of chemicals, including sodium, cyanide, and arsenic. And this would produce a gas oil used for powering street lighting, amongst other things. So, might have kept Victoria and Bristol slightly safer at night. Definitely didn't do very much for that patch of land on which they had to remove 6 feet of topsoil before they could allow construction on the flats to begin. Coming up on the left-hand side is the SS Great Britain, the ship designed by a legendary civil engineer and architect named Isabel Kingsbury, responsible for other great creations such as the Clifton Suspension Bridge, Great Western Railway Line, London Paddington, Bristol Company, etc. The SS Great Britain launched in July of 1843 and was the largest ship in the world by 100 feet and 1,000 tons. It was also the first ship to be both metal and screw propelled, a formula that would go on to be quite popular and completely change the way that we think about building boats, but also about international travel, because she was very efficient in the water, able to cross the Atlantic in just over 2 weeks, which for a ship of that size was not considered possible. So it changed a lot about international travel, and she's considered to be the world's first great ocean liner. very popular museum today. There's of course much more to her history than I've already spoken about. Thankfully today she is a museum, so you can go there and check her out. I say a museum, there's actually like 4 museums on site, so you pay 1 ticket and you can go to all of these museums. 1 ticket gets you access for the whole year, so you can keep going back. They have all these different community events as well which you can attend. There's definitely lots going on there. You might be able to see, if you look at the main mast, the white and black mast, about halfway up is a horizontal beam called a yard arm, and there's someone on it. There's someone climbing out along the yard arm there. That isn't a trained professional, that isn't someone who works at the SS Great Britain, that is a ticket paying passenger who's decided to undertake the challenge. So for a little bit of money on top of your ticket price, you can climb up the wire ladders to the platform halfway up, where someone straps you to another harness. You climb out along the yard arm and pretend like you're a Victorian sailor. It's great fun. I did it probably about 10 years ago now when it first opened up, and it was great fun.
Oh my god, I'd love to do that.
A rather unique experience in terms of sort of Victorian shipping and ships. Fantastic views from up there. We'll pass right up in front of the SS Great Britain on the way back upstream, which is another opportunity to marvel at her.
Dry dock. Yeah.
Huh?
Dry dock. It's pretty cool. Massive.
The western end of the docks here is usually where you get a lot of non-engine water sport activities like sailing, as you can see going up over here on the left hand side. Now this, I would imagine, is quite a good day for sailing. Healthy amount of wind, nice weather, but they seem to go out no matter what. Sometimes they'll be out on a very still day and they look quite sad, just sort of sat there in their sailing boats doing nothing. But you've got rowing, canoes, kayaks, dragon boats, stand-up paddle boards. They even do a very specific time days swimming, which is a relatively new thing to do here in Bristol, but they have to be very careful, of course, because of the high levels of E. coli here in the water. They test throughout the week, and then, assuming it's all good, they allow swimming under very strict conditions. One of the most incredible water sport activities, I don't actually know if you can call it a water sport activity, took place here on the weekend at the Harbour Festival, just over on our left hand side where the sailing boats are, done by Red Bull, and it's called Up the Mast. You might have seen it before because they've done it in other cities. Essentially, they set up a mast going up into the water, they cover it in grease, and then they let people run at it, and they're trying to catch a flag on the end of the mast. That's it, that's the concept. Thousands of people in attendance, and it went for 6 hours. So if you want to have a little look at that, I'm not sure that the footage is yet up online, but you type Bristol Up the Mast.
Yeah, absolutely. So distraught that we couldn't have a go. Yeah, right. It's still up, we're going to go late at night.
Yeah, they took it all down.
Yeah,
Oh, I saw the ice cream on Sunday. When I was walking past to get Kez for the office on my way back, he was packing up his stuff. I said, I was driving the boat yesterday when the pants were closing. Packing his stuff and dancing. I said, oh, that's good. That's the. He said that's the most exciting thing that happened to me.
Great.
Hey.
Oh, I mean,
This part of the docks used to be sand and timber wharves, so it's quite badly polluted. All the biggest ships that came to Bristol delivering goods would have to enter through this area because the lock is just around the corner on our right. So you've got all these massive polluting ships that would have come down into the west here. Some of them wouldn't have even made it around the corner, so they would have just dropped their goods off onto the quay to wait to be picked up by other ships. So it's been a massive transformation as this area has become a lot more peaceful than it has been in previous times. 3 big red brick warehouses guard the western end of the dock, and these are old bonded warehouses used for the storage of tobacco, which was a huge import and export for Bristol. And a bonded warehouse is essentially a warehouse in which goods can be stored tax-free until removed. It incentivises shipping in large quantities. We do the same thing now. On a much larger scale, we call them free ports. All three of these are still in use. They are various, private sort of storage facilities and such. But that seagoing route is coming up on our right here with the Grey Bridge and the hills in the distance. Just beyond the Grey Bridge is the lock that takes you out to the tidal part of the River Avon, and you're 7.5 miles to the mouth from here. Very exciting journey. We actually do it on this boat multiple times throughout the summer. The Avon Gorge cruise is the best one that we do. 3.5 hours it takes to get you all the way to the mouth of the river and bring you back again. Fantastic scenery, a wonderful history to learn about along the way. You can visit our website, bristolpacket.co.uk, to find out more about the different trips that we offer. Some interesting activity going on up here at the western end of the dock. This vessel over here, as we turn on our right, usually we could dip right into this western pocket, but they're very busy at the moment dredging. That's the activity that's taking place here. So that blue boat there is essentially the end of a hoover, which is sucking up silt, which sits at the bottom of this quite stagnant water. And obviously silt built up over time will cause vessels to run aground in the middle of the channel, which is not ideal. So if you follow the tube along, you'll see that it keeps running down the quay, and then as we travel down our right hand side here, you'll see that it heads into a pipe which then goes inland and takes the silt to the new cut, which is on the other side of these buildings on our right.
That's a bit of a sad point for me because we used to come there with our caravan for about
It's horrible, isn't it?
12 or 14 years.
Such a shame.
How they could write something like Bristol is our home.
Yeah.
Just demolishing something like that.
Yeah. And I think for as long as we've been going there, they were talking about closing it.
Yeah, but they've been on final warning for a long time.
Yeah.
It's going up quite quickly though. I mean, they didn't really
Waste much
mess
time.
around. Yeah, they've just gone on to it right away.
Great views to our left hand side up at Clifton and Clifton Woods, some of the more affluent areas of Bristol today, that rose to prominence during the industrial era, before which time this was mostly farmland and limestone quarries. And then when the Industrial Revolution kicked in, city centres like Bristol became quite badly overpopulated and polluted due to the factories themselves. The spread of disease because of the overpopulation meant that the merchants and the wealthy who'd been in Bristol didn't want to live in the city centre anymore, so they moved up the hill. So you can see that pipe there on the right hand side which exits onto land. The colourful houses of Lambeth Road and Cliftonwood Crescent often gain the attention of people passing through, and it's important to remember that these houses were built, the ones at the top anyway, the original colourful houses, were built when this area was still very polluted. These are Georgian properties. They were built facing away from the docks as well, crucially, in a time when this wouldn't have been the nicest place to look over. And as such, once they were built, over the course of the remainder of Bristol's history as a working port, the backs of those houses would have been blackened by all of the various pollution coming from the docks. So then in the 60s, when colour was invented, the people of these houses attempted to brighten up this area by painting the backs of those all these lovely colours, and it's obviously very reminiscent of a seaside town, and has been copied by other more modern constructions on the hill, as well as in various other viewpoints across the city. On our right is Bristol Marina, which is a place where boats of all shapes and sizes live today. It was once Charles Hill and Sons, the longest running and largest shipbuilding company in Bristol, famous for inscribing the words "all shipshape and Bristol fashion" on every single one of the boats that they made. The last boat produced here was called the Miranda Guinness in 1976, and it was the world's first purpose-built bulk beer carrier, before which time beer was transported in casks or barrels, which wasn't that space efficient. The Guinness Company, they wanted a whole fleet of ships that could carry beer in a specifically designed tank, and the Miranda Guinness was the first of its kind, with 15 stainless steel tanks. And this single boat could hold up to 2 million pints of Guinness at once. It would do the trip twice weekly from Dublin to Liverpool, to the bottling plant, and like I said, it was then joined by many other ships of its type. And unfortunately, it did run from 1977 up until the mid 1990s, but then at that point the logistics of Guinness had changed, and they moved away from having a fleet of ships, unfortunately, and she wasn't able to be preserved. The Miranda Guinness was scrapped at Garston in the Manchester Canal in 1995.
I'll do it if you man do it.
We've got one large remaining dry dock here with Bristol on the right hand side, the Albion dock, which is still active and used for doing up big vessels in Bristol and other vessels that want to come here as well. Run by Sharpness Dock, the logistics element, but co-owned by the people who run the SS Great Britain now. And it's open and operational all year round. They've got a little viewing platform for the Albion dock, so if you visit the SS Great Britain site, you can walk in and observe the work that they do. And here's the SS Great Britain again from this upstream direction, taking in the full picture. She's dressed up the way that she would have been apparently on launch day. Inside of the dry dock where she was built by William Patterson, who had built many ships at this time, to go on to build a few more as well. But the dry dock that she's in was specifically carved out for the building of the SS Great Britain, because as I mentioned, there were no ships like this before this one, so they had to not only dig out a dry dock big enough to build a ship like this, but come up with all sorts of new engineering techniques to get her ready. They built her between 1839 and 1843, 4-year build time.